In a world that is chasing AI, Garrett doubled down on humans and he built a system that doctors actually love. So, Garrett, let's kind of start to it, man. You worn many hats than most CIOs will ever probably wear. What's the through line that brought you to healthcare?
Well, it started at a young age. I as a very young child, growing up, thought I'd be a neurosurgeon actually. Then got around to hitting puberty and things, and got more interested in girls and sports, and then realized just how long it would take to become a neurosurgeon, and decided that was not the path for me. Um, and like you said, been in many different industries and things like that. But about a decade ago or so, went to my wife and said, you know what, I want to finish my career in healthcare. Had that love of science, medicine, and just wanting to help people has always been a personal mission of mine. So just kind of pivoted and got into the healthcare field, and here I am today.
So I know we're talking about healthcare right now, but as I was looking at your background, I see that you also have dinosaurs, and almost like you have just nature. Are you a nature type of guy? Like, do you love the jungle? Like, what's up with these dinosaurs, man?
Yeah, so we always do a theme for Halloween, and my first year here, the administration department decided to do Toy Story. So I was Rex. Had the big inflatable T-Rex suit, running through
I
pediatrics and
love
stuff
it.
like that. Um, and then it just kind of stuck with me. So then people started giving me little dinosaurs and things like that.
That is too funny. So really, they do it almost as a joke now. They just want you to remember that time you walked across
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
hall.
that's how they remember me. So I'll come into work and there'll be something sitting on my desk, and then the pictures behind me. I love photography, so these are some of the photos I took in different places around.
Your photos.
Yeah, those are mine. Yep.
Wow. Is that something people don't know of you? Like you're secretly a photographer?
Uh, yeah, a lot of people
Depends
don't
who knows
realize
you.
it. I mean, I talk about it from time to time, but yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Wow, especially that first photo all the way to your right. That's a neat photo, man. Where's these photos taken?
Uh, Tanzania at Serengeti, the lions. I think the one over this shoulder is a jaguar in Brazil, and then I think the other one is a
Wow.
leopard in a tree, um, in again in the Serengeti.
Look at you, man. You
There's others
multi-talented.
around my office that you can't see, so
That is
Antarctica,
cool. I love
stuff like that. So
I love that the T-Rex story actually fell in line with work and what you do. Are you is that your type of vibe? Like you like to be that fun energy person at work when it's not too serious?
yeah, well, I try to bring levity. Yeah, yeah, I like to joke around and things like that. And I can make a fool of myself. That's fine.
That's it, man. That's the fun part. I
Oh,
am that guy as well. Like I don't mind being a clown and making the jokes. I mean, the jokes could be about me, and I'm just like, as long as we're all laughing and having fun, like it's truly a key, right, to work with others.
yeah. I mean, the workplace is serious, right? And if you can bring a little levity and lighten the load a little bit by laughter, I'm all for that.
Yeah, you also mentioned Garrett the last time I spoke to you. You said your goal is to improve life for everyone you touch. What does that actually look like in practice?
So yeah, so my personal, I guess, motto, right, is to improve the quality of life of those I serve, and I basically serve everybody, right? Whether it's the patients we see, the staff, the communities we serve, things like that. Um, so it's in many different ways, right? It could be mentoring or teaching. It could be financial. It could be again just being a listening ear for someone. Um, I've had different different uh, experiences, right? Where like the
Hmm.
homeless, I'll talk to them, shake their hand, things like that, and people go, nobody ever does that. And it's like, why not? They're still people,
Yeah,
right? It's just
of course, man.
circumstances.
we're all human at the end of the day, right? We all have that same. I was just talking to another leader. We all really all wake up. We all start our days kind of the same, right? Like, it, the only difference is probably the lifestyle that we live and how fortunate some of us are versus some of us that are not so fortunate. It is very interesting times as well, man. We're also now hit with technology. So add technology into everything that's already happening in our world, right?
Yeah.
Where now people are saying we're already not humanized per se, as you mentioned. Not everyone's going to say hello to someone, but now we're in the space of AI. Now it's a big fear. Like, wait a minute, you're telling me I'm losing my job? You're telling me that some of these things are not going to be human centric anymore? What is your thoughts on all this AI technology?
I think there's a place for it. But it's interesting as it evolves, and it's evolving so quickly, right? Um, can it replace humans, if you will? In
Hmm.
some areas, yes.
Okay.
Right. Um, in some areas, no. They I see it as a tool, just like any other tool that you utilize. It can improve your efficiency. It can improve um, maybe the information
Hmm.
that's available to you, so that you can make a more informed decision. Um, but in the end, humans are still going to be needed. Uh,
Yeah. And I like what you just mentioned. The first thing you says, will it replace humans? Yes. But it's really the things that we don't like doing anyway. Like, who likes to sit and do admin work? Who likes to do the repetitive task over and over for hours, right? That's so it's
sure.
like when people say it's replacing people, I don't want people to think like, oh my God, is replacing a whole needed body. It's not. It's really helping us do our jobs better, so we can do the things that we actually love. Some of us went to school for something, and then you get to give us all this admin task. I mean, look at the doctors, what they have to do. They didn't want to take notes. They didn't want to sit here and do all these different things. But now there's, note takers in rooms. There's machines that you can put so they can actually focus on the actual patient. What are some of the things that you're actually seeing in your space?
So our organization is a little different. About 12, 15 years ago, before I started with the organization, they made a decision to use live human scribes in the
Wow.
exam rooms with the clinicians, um, to type those notes, right? So that the clinician can focus on the patient. They're not, their face isn't in the keyboard, it's face to face with the patient,
Correct.
understanding what's going on. Over time, that evolved to where the scribe now started doing a little more, right? So, in electronic medical records, health records
Mhm.
systems, um, to make sure that you meet the requirements to get paid, to meet the quality measures, things like that that were judged on, if you will. They started, doing more within those systems. And today it's kind of given us a little bit of a heartache, if you will, because we are looking at, AI scribes um, work very well for what it does. It takes the
Mhm.
note, right? It still allows the clinician to face the patient. Um, but what it doesn't do, or doesn't do well at the moment, in many cases, is all that other additional work that the scribes have picked up over the years, right? Checking boxes, filling out
Mhm.
forms, doing other things. Um, so when we looked at and said, at some point, AI is going to be replacing these humans, right?
Yep.
Um, but we found it's a little more difficult than that, right? Because we can't put more on the clinicians, and if we remove the live scribe, who checks those boxes and fill out all those forms and things like that they're doing now for the clinician.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a work in progress. But again, we it's about the people still, because
Mhm.
even though we said we are working to replace this position, we also told those people, we value you, we want you to stay in the organization, so apply for open positions that we have. We'll train you. We started different training programs internally so that if they're interested, they can still stay in healthcare and just move to a different position. And if not, then we understand that also. But we are one of the few places today that have human scribes.
And you guys been doing this for some time now. You said 10 years ago?
I think about 12. Yeah.
Wow. Ahead of the game, if you ask me. Like, not a lot of organizations like yours are saying that this is what they've been doing for the last 12 years.
Yeah. So it's interesting because people, other organizations that have gone to the AI Scribe didn't have anything, right? The clinicians were doing all those notes, so they're finding efficiencies and loving it. Where we're coming from the other side of we had a human doing much more and trying to have them do less, and it's just not ready for prime time for us.
Yeah. Yes, that's definitely always going to be a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get away from the old and get into the new versus just new. There's always a little delay there per se, but I'm pretty sure Garrett, you're making it happen over there. How was your scribe model evolved? When you talked about, is it evolving? Is it an organization that is starting to see some of these things being implemented into the transcribe?
So we pivoted slightly to say that if you want to keep your live scribe, we've asked the clinicians to see one more patient a day.
Hmm.
But at the same time, because they're human, right? They go on vacation, they get sick, things like that, is we're going to give you the AI scribe capability for you to start learning. And you can use it when your human scribe is out sick or on vacation. So you still have some efficiencies, just maybe not all of it. And we believe that, because again, it's changing so quickly, that soon enough, those things that the live scribes are doing, AI will be able to do. And we'll just evolve, and instead of doing it by the end of this year, maybe it's by the end of next year.
Before you're even touching AI, for those that are listening and wanting to know a little bit more, what governance even needs to take place before digging into the AI world, especially in organizations like yours?
Yeah, so we were big on making sure that before we even started using AI, that we had the governance in place, right? How do we use it ethically? Making sure that the patients could opt out if they felt the need to do so. What information can we use in AI and what information is off limits? We made a decision that whatever solution we use, they cannot utilize our information to train their model. We don't want our patients' data getting utilized in that method or form. But we felt it was important to have the guardrails on how we're going to use it, the expectations of our vendors that we utilize, to make sure we're all on the same page, and making sure that somebody doesn't go rogue and does something that really they shouldn't have for whatever reason.
You know what I sit here and I think about is how we're still using fax machines in 2025. And in reality, what the hell is taking its place? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
AI could potentially, maybe, who knows? But I always think it's so funny. I haven't used one in a long time. But when someone says you got to fax it, I'm like, we really still have fax machines? Like, who's doing this? But
Unfortunately, in
still out there.
healthcare, we do.
Who knows, man? It might be changing. AI is changing the game on how clients are now or patients are now being seen. I love the model of being able to have that face-to-face interaction versus the doctor never even knows what you look like and spent 10, 15 minutes with you now. I always go back to the story on where the lady wasn't looking at me. She definitely was not. She was just clicking away in her computer. And I'm a very talkative person. So I was in there and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And oh, my wife was here. Do you know my wife? And she's like, oh, yeah. And then so after all this, we're having a, conversation, thinking she actually knows and remembers my wife. I go to the car and I said, oh, babe, she remembered you. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I gave her a description of the lady. She's like, yeah, that's not my doctor. I said, well, she said she knew you. She just lied to me. That's because they weren't trying to pay attention. She was so busy clicking, clacketing.
Yeah.
So now to really have that one-on-one conversation, I think it would change. Bad experience for people when it's like that, But I'm happy to see that Garrett, you guys have kind of been ahead of the game. Like there is some pivot you guys got to make, and still reality, is still ahead of the game. And I can imagine change just the thought process for some people that was walking through those halls.
Yeah, it's interesting as we're going through this process. We're getting pushback from the clinicians, obviously the scribes, because they're thinking that they're losing their jobs, and the other thing that we said was as we do this, we would only do it through attrition. We weren't going to fire anybody or lay them off. It was the position itself typically has fairly high turnover anyway, but the pushback was people aren't going to want AI, right? But it was interesting because on social media, as word got out that we're looking to do this in the community, we actually saw comments that the patients were embracing AI because, as they said, sometimes the conversation is too sensitive, and I don't want a third person in the room. I just want me and my doctor, right? So it was interesting where our staff is thinking the patients don't want it, but then we're hearing from the patients that actually that might be a good thing.
And that's usually what it is, right? It's the fear always comes from inside, but those on the outside are fans of it, So that's crazy to think, because a lot of times you speak to leaders and automatically you use the word AI and it becomes a very scary thing. But it can only be all the things that you hear from it, everybody having this negative. But when you're actually in it and you're actually utilizing AI and you realize, oh my God, I should have been using this tool a long time ago. This is so beneficial for me. I mean, to me, it makes me faster, more creative, smarter. Like, let me tell you something. I don't think I've read as much as I do now every day, because ChatGPT I'm still having to read this information, right?
Yeah.
I'm still having to think on what I have to prompt it. So you're still using those brain cells on creativity. And then when it gives you things back out as fast as it does, I used to have this saying, oh my God, everyone wants the Amazon effect 2 days. But now it's like, no, everyone wants a ChatGPT effect, literally instantly.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that people are still living in fear. I know some people think that it's new, but it's been around forever. It's now that we're kind of utilizing the actual word, artificial intelligence, so it makes people scared, make you think about iRobot days, right? I don't even see the movie iRobot. No, it's interesting times. I love that to hear that you guys are in this space where it's how do we make things better for the organization, and make it more efficient. That's really what it was. And you kind of been working with these vendors for some time, right? Is that correct?
Well, I've it seems like talked to hundreds of them. Everyone you talk to is doing AI today, right? They have some offering, but it's amazing because the for the same concept or use case, the pricing is all over the place, right? And one use case we were looking at, I had quotes that were almost $1 million in difference.
Wow.
And it's the same outcome that we're looking for, right? But one company feels that they're providing us value and want to partner with us. The other one, I think, is just it's magic, right? So it costs a lot.
$1 million, man. That in itself is the fear.
Just
you tell me that.
Just the difference in the quote, right?
But I think it always, when you hear stuff like that, you're definitely going to see those long-term players and the short-term players because it is new. Everyone's kind of in it. And I think that's where, give it a couple of years, I think you'll start to see a lot of these companies just fade away because it is the buzzword. So everyone wants to get a piece of the pie, but is everyone doing it right? Are they following the compliance that is actually needed, HIPAA certified, in this case of dealing with patients? So that's exciting. If you could actually see something change when it comes to what you guys do and maybe AI can actually help, what does that even look like for you?
So really, it's for, I guess my personal opinion is I'm always looking for a partner, a vendor, um, that can do more for the organization than just for a department or a specific use, right? Because I don't want to manage 20 different AI vendors.
Yeah, yeah, makes
That
sense.
just, that to me, that's a nightmare. Yeah, I need AI just to manage the AI. I'd rather find a vendor that's flexible enough to say, I need this clinically, but then I need this for the business and, whatever. Um, and they're kind of hard to find. A lot of them are kind of pigeonholed in what they do, which is unfortunate. And then the other thing, we kind of touch on the cost, right? Um, the quotes I'm getting, it doesn't fit my budget, right? So
Mm,
I can't do some of these things. Um, and we're one of the bigger players in Northern California. And if we can't afford it, the small organizations certainly can't get the bigger benefits for their organization, right?
yeah.
So I think it would be nice if the vendors could, think of it as more, and even healthcare is how can we partner together and pool our resources to get this AI or this use case done. Um, but I think the challenge there is, what you want to use AI for may not be what I want to use AI for. And coming to an
True.
agreement on this is the one use case that we're going to pool our resources to pay for it or whatever becomes the issue.
For leaders that may want to know the space of CIO, like what does a day to day look like for you, Garrett?
It varies. I think that the constant is probably somewhere around 6 to 10 meetings a day. uh, but trying to define strategy, right? Near term, long term. What are we looking at? That roadmap. Uh, Fighting the fires that are occurring. Um, that balance of proactive and reactive. Um, I cover not only the IT and the cybersecurity side of things, but also informatics, and then quality, which is a little different because I'm not clinical, uh,
Mm,
but I do cover all the clinical quality.
you mentioned cybersecurity. I think some things that people may sleep on that don't really understand. I'm pretty sure you had those experiences maybe with people, have heard some stories. Why cybersecurity, whether small or big, why is that very important in an organization?
Well, I mean, in healthcare, obviously, you have different regulations and laws that you need to stay up on, and that's one of it, right? Is protecting your data. Um, but as as AI uh, enhances, and grows at that pace, threat actors are using it just as much to try to breach your systems, um, as you can find vendors that utilize AI to keep them out. So,
Of course, right?
yeah, so it's like whose AI is better. Uh, so it's important to educate your users and things like that. Again, our philosophy is it's not punitive, right? It's to be an educational experience. Um, it will make our organization safer, and what you learn here from the organization you can take to your home life or your personal life, and hopefully utilize some of those same skills. You may not have the same protection, but at least trying to identify a scam email and maybe a malicious link or something like that you don't click on it, right? You recognize that maybe that's not a good idea, and you just delete the email.
Tell you what, I had one recently come to me, and it's like every day it's waiting for me to open this. It's Boost Mobile. Are you familiar with Boost Mobile?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm getting an email that your Boost Mobile account is now activated, and I'm like, I never even had Boost Mobile. So I wanted to make sure that my account, my actual checking and savings account didn't show, nothing was, created.
Sure.
And so I'm one of those that I know a little bit. So I'll go to the email, and I realize it will say like @email boost or something like that. So it's just kind of and it's happening. It's happening so much now, and I can imagine AI definitely. You don't know what's real, what's not. Like as you mentioned, there'll be an AI to resolve that problem as well.
Yeah.
You have to. It's almost like an AI fighting an AI at this point. This is kind of crazy when you think about it, Garrett. We're gonna have two robots fighting each other at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. So
who would have thought this is happening?
we utilize a product that not only the phishing, sending an email, right, that is training, but try to teach them what to look for, things like that. Like you said, the email address or something like that might be a little off. But our product also can do smishing, so text SMS phishing, if you will. We can create deepfake videos of our CEO or whatever, and see if we can catch people that way.
Wow.
Just because you never know, right? We have
That's good stuff.
processes in place that if you call in and say whatever, hey, it's Garrett, I need some help. Well, we need to verify that you are Garrett, because they can copy your voice, and just utilizing a few seconds, they can take this podcast and say, let's make a fake of me.
Yeah. I've actually seen those videos like on TikTok, and I think like I'm watching it thinking, oh my God, this looks real, and then some things you can tell are just so fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just never know.
But again,
it just sounds real, looks real.
It gets better and better every day.
Yeah. Well, good thing I'm not a part of that, because I'm always surprised how people can even. First of all, how you have time to do that? You got to find something else better to do with your time, right, Garrett? We're here trying to save the
It would be
world. We're
nice,
here just trying to ruin it.
Free up some time to do other things. Yeah.
Well, Garrett, I really appreciate you, man. This conversation that we had here today, and just what you've been able to do. How long have you been at this organization now?
I've only been here just under 2 years.
So still some time to make huge improvements, but you've done a lot already while you've been there with the organization. Looks like you're excited for what's to come as well. When it comes
Every
to
day.
technology.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. So that's your world, man. Technology is your world. Plus taking photos. Don't forget, taking photos is your world as
When
well.
I can, yeah.
I ask you, man, if tech disappeared tomorrow, what part of technology would you fight hardest to keep?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, being a photographer, I'd have to say some type of digital. Well, I don't even know if it could be digital at that point, because the other technology, without it, you wouldn't be
Doesn't
able
even
to do
exist.
much. So yeah, I guess I need to rethink about that.
No, I love it. I thought you would enjoy that question, because it really gets you to think, like, wait a minute, there's so much tech around us that you take out one, it really ruins it for a lot of us, for all
Well,
others.
it's all interconnected, right? So
It truly is, man.
you have a
That's like,
digital camera, but if you don't have something to store it, at
it's
some
like no
point,
Wi-Fi.
yeah,
You're not watching TV. There's no Netflix. There's no, like you take out one thing. I actually had to live almost a whole week with no Wi-Fi at my house. Just imagine, like, what are you supposed to do, Garrett? Like, what am I supposed to do now? And then there's barely any service in my house. I'm like, oh, this really sucks. Like, there's no social media. There's no Netflix.
you didn't go get
And then
a
I have a
club
one and a.
and build a campfire in the living room or
Oh
anything.
my God. I have a 1 and 4-year-old. They didn't know what the heck was going on here. Like,
Uh,
what do you mean? What we're doing? What? Back in the days, it was easy. Play a little Monopoly, a little
yeah.
Uno, take some candles out. It's just not the same anymore, man. It's not the same. Well, I appreciate you, Garrett. Garrett, what is your blind question for the next guest we have here on the Heart Hustle?
Um, so I guess what one tip would you give somebody to be an effective leader?
What's one tip? Okay, I like that. Okay, perfect. Well, Garrett, it has truly been a pleasure. We thank you for your time on what you've been able to do and give us here today. For those that are still watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. This is the only way that we get to share some of these stories of the leaders that actually bring us to the table and the gems and how you in this industry can also make those changes. Well, Garrett, has been a pleasure. My name is Efrain. This is Garrett. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank
Later.
you.